Unfortunately, earlier today, David Ojabo, the highly touted Michigan edge rusher, suffered a torn Achilles. I wanted to kind of go over what this means for the Eagles' draft plans. So let's get into this. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today I want to talk about David Ojabo and what his injury means for the Eagles and the draft in general. But before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. We are on the road to 4K. We would love for you guys to join that ride. But let's get right into it, man. So obviously David Ojabo, like I said, highly touted recruit, man. You know, he was going to be a guy that I felt like went top 10, top 15, and we all have seen this before, right? A very highly touted player gets injured in their pro day or their, combine, whatever it may be, and their stock just plummets. So, there was a lot of concern around the time that David Ojabo had in the game already. Now you're taking away 1 year, possibly a full year of the NFL. Can he sit down and learn some stuff? Definitely, but I think, a big thing is learning how to hone his athleticism and learning how to learn the speed of the game and how to utilize his body in the NFL, because it is a little bit faster than college football. So he loses that in the first year. Again, like I said, he's going to be able to sit behind some veterans. I'm sure he's going to go to a good team. But what does this mean, right? What does this mean for the Eagles? It means that the Eagles may be able to steal him a little bit later than they even thought. Maybe he becomes that guy we've seen a bunch of times go in the second round that's injury riddled, and the Eagles take a chance on him. We look at, Sidney Jones, we look at last year and Landon Dickerson. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So maybe he becomes that type of guy that goes in the second round, early in the second round. I don't know. I still think that he's going to go late in the first round. I don't think this is going to drop him too far. I think a lot of teams later in the draft are going to start seeing that as a kind of a steal, which they should. So I think for the Eagles, maybe you keep an eye out for the second round, but hopefully this is the one thing that I'm a little bit nervous that it's going to cause, and that's going to be a run on defensive ends. And it might even be before the number 15, 16 spot where we pick. Because if you look at the defensive linemen and especially the edge rushers at the position right now, look, I mean, it's pretty top heavy, right? You have Jermaine Johnson, you have George Karlaftis, you have your Aiden Hutchinson, your Kayvon Thibodeau. But what happens? What happens? Because before you throw David Ojabo in there, so maybe he drops to you, maybe a Jermaine Johnson drops to you, maybe a George Karlaftis drops to you. You were looking at it like one of these guys are definitely going to drop to us. Now we might not get as lucky. We might have to move up to get a defensive end. We might, we might get lucky and sit where we are and get a good cornerback now because maybe defensive ends are a little bit higher on people's, radar, especially with this injury. They don't know how many are going to be those top tier guys. But it kind of worries me that we're going to be stuck in a position that if we want a defensive end in free agency, it would seem to be the only spot. So we were able to get Hassan Riddick. I mean, but will that be enough? I still feel like we need a very solid guy. Josh Sweat is a very good player, but you need somebody to spell him. You need somebody to take the load off of him when, even if he gets hurt. Unfortunately, we've seen that way too often. And if he's just not that guy, last year wasn't the most overwhelming year from him. So there's still a lot of questions at that edge rushing position, and to lose somebody like David Ojabo is going to definitely hurt the Eagles and hurt a lot of draft plans. So who do you think, takes that spot? Who jumps into David Ojabo's spot? Who are the top edge rushers right now? Are you still taking a shot at him at that 15, 16, or maybe 19 spot? I'm not. I'm not. I think that he's a project. I think that he's somebody that would have had to learn a lot of the game when he got to the game. I think that he's very athletic and very able, body-wise and physicality-wise. He was able to do a lot of great things in college, but you have to get a little bit more technical when you get to the NFL. So I'm not willing to take a risk on him in the first round. It might make sense to try and move up. It really might. It might make sense to try and get in that top 10 and get you a Karlaftis, get you maybe a Kayvon Thibodeau if people are really kind of freaked out about his, desire to play the game, which I think is malarkey, if I'm being real malarkey. But you guys let me know what you're thinking, man, because this opens up a lot. I think that people are looking at it and not really seeing the repercussions that it may realistically have in that top 15 of this draft. So you guys let me know. I said that a million times, but please do let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this injury. Prayers up to David Ojabo, man. I hope that he is able to get healthy quick, because like I said earlier, man, we've seen this all too often where it kind of draws people's draft stock way down. You go from getting, you know, millions upon millions of dollars in that first round to getting what feels like peanuts in comparison, right, when you get into that second, third, and fourth, fifth round. But either way, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. We out here. Peace.
Yeah, Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird game nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling with Philly the podcast.